So tolerance is basically every industry, any industry you could possibly think of, guys, is going to allow for some variance. Okay. So for example, some of you I heard, or I remember reading, I don't know if it's exactly this class, but you work at a restaurant, or you really pay attention to temperatures, right? In the fridge or anything like that, even when you're cooking, right? You got to make sure that everything is either well done, if it's meat, or if it's in the fridge, you want to make sure it stays cold, right? But it can't always stay the exact same temperature, okay? So the products might vary, and this is due to various factors. There could be an operator error, faulty equipment, limitations to the measuring device, temperature of the environment. It could be a lot of things that affect the product and how it turns out. Companies or businesses would lose a lot of money if they would only accept parts that match the target value. That is why most, if not all, industries allow, right? Most, if not all, industries allow for some variation so that the part, this is important here. Why do they do that? So that the part can still be used. The part can still be used for its intended purpose. Every industry has a tolerance, but it may be smaller or greater. It depends on what it is that they're working with. So if I talk to my former student and he's in like fixing airplane engines, sometimes they come down to like the thickness of a hair, right? It matters, right? And in other industries, you're like, oh, that's close enough, right? An inch off, you're fine, right? So tolerance, this is what I need you to have on your study sheet here. I'm going to go with green on this one. Tolerance is the range of acceptable measurements. It's the measurement variation allowed so that the item is still acceptable for its intended purpose. So add to study sheet, right? This one right here. So the idea is you don't want it to be too low or too high. Okay, that's the idea here. Something usually happens if it's too low or if it's too high. That's the thing about tolerance. So for example, a door, if it's too small, there'll be a large gap, and so warm air will escape, cold air will enter the home. That's not a good thing, okay? If the door is too large, it will not fit inside the frame. The door will either not close properly or be very difficult to close or open, okay? So this is kind of like the essence of tolerance, okay? Tolerance can have to be in between the two scenarios above. So anything above is okay. Anything in between is okay. I will do this. Between is okay. Anything in between, but if it's too small, not good. If it's too large, it's also not good. Okay. Here is the uncertainty versus tolerance. Uncertainty is determined by the measuring device. Okay? Uncertainty is due to the measuring device, basically, so whatever the precision is. It is set by the measuring device. So if it's a scale, if it's a tape measure, whatever, the uncertainty is due to the limitations of that device. Whereas tolerance, I'm going to use a different color for tolerance. Tolerance is determined by the industry. Okay? It is set by the industry. And it is because of all these issues that may arise that the industry has to pick a mix, a min and a max, okay? So this is your min, and this is your max, and this is acceptable. Okay? So let's go to 38. There's going to be math that's associated with it, so I'm going to come back to these definitions later on. So let's go to 38. These are the 4 things you always listen carefully to this part. These four things you should always be able to get out of a tolerance as it's stated. Okay, guys? Given a measurement, you need to determine the four things. I will box this whole thing in for now and just tell you that this very well summarizes what tolerance is supposed to do. So we're going to state the tolerance of a measurement. Yeah. Okay, so maximum is the largest acceptable measurement. Minimum is the smallest. Nominal, highlight this part. The nominal is what we're ideally targeting. That's what the company wants you to produce, like a certain weight and so forth. Tolerance is the range variation allowed. And please write down this formula. It is tolerance mathematically is you take the maximum and you subtract the minimum from it. This will come up again and again. But I really want you to remember that. So tolerance is the max minus the min. Here it is, right? Okay, so now I want you to think of anything in here between the max and the min is acceptable. Okay? Anything in here, you're fine. Like it will pass quality inspection. But if it's less than the minimum, this will be discarded. If that part is greater, right, than the absolute max, it's also discarded. So only what's in between is going to be acceptable, okay? Tolerance can be stated in 4 ways. Okay, so this is the part where you need to have that on your study sheet. Make sure you have your highlighters ready for this part. Okay. There are 4 ways to state it. You can always rewrite into the other 3 formats if you get one. Okay. But here they are again. These 4 right here, if you see my hand hovering over these 4, the max, the min, the tolerance, and the nominal, you should always be able to get it from any one of these 4 that I'm about to show you, okay? The most important one is the nominal. If there's a big number, this is going to be a number down the road. If there's a big number up front, that is going to be our target. That's what the company wants you to get at. So let's say Coca-Cola's canning, right? They put Coca-Cola in the cans. How many milliliters are there normally in a can? 355, right? Do you think there's always 355 in there? Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, right? But anyways, they aim for 355. Look at this format here. Don't worry about all that busyness next to it, okay? Just think about this is going to be one number in front of it. That minimum is going to be your nominal as well, okay? If it's like this, if you see a number in front, again, this format, it's going to be your nominal, okay? And this is the only time where you have to do some calculating. There's not a single number in front, right? All these 3 had just one single number in front of it. Here are some examples. There's a 250 followed by something. There's a 5, and then there's a bunch of stuff happening there. 45, a bunch of stuff happening there, okay? Yeah, go ahead. But when you have 2 numbers only stacked like that, you need to do work to get the nominal. So you need to write this down. Nominal is going to be found by going max plus min divided by 2. Okay? What this is saying is that the nominal is halfway between max and min. So make sure to write this down. That's why we're dividing it in half. We're adding, and then we divide by 2. Let me bring this up a little bit for those that are back in the back row there. There you go. So this, you want to have next to this format of the tolerance. Okay? All right. So every single one has a specific example here. So let's say I give you this one, and you realize it's a number plus or minus half of another number. You should recognize that it's this format right here. And you should immediately take that front runner and say that the nominal in this case is 250 mLs. Right off the bat. The next thing I want you to find is the max and the min, guys. Okay? Find the max and the min. And this is sometimes throwing students off. What's half of 10? It's just 5, right? So get rid of that whole ugly expression and just say it's really plus or minus 5 mLs. So the max in this case is 250 plus 5. That's 255 mLs. The minimum is 250 minus 5. That's 245 ml. And how do you find the tolerance? I gave you the formula earlier. How do you find the tolerance in this case? Right here. Tolerance is max, take away min. So I'll always tell you, take these ones away from each other, you get your tolerance. 255 minus 245, that's 10 milliliters. That's how much of a difference there is between the highest and the lowest. Okay? Let's do one more here. I'm giving you this one. Like, imagine I'm just giving you the tolerance of a measurement. And you want to right away have these 4. You want to be able to read them off of it. Okay? What's going to be the first number you're going to grab? The front runner is your nominal. That's what this company is aiming for. Make sure you write this down. Okay? What about the max? How do you get your max when you look at this? What would you be inclined to do to get your max? 5 plus 2. There you go. So that's 7 degrees Celsius. What is the min? 5 minus 0. What is that? You should be able to get that one. 5 degrees Celsius. Mr. Dirksen, hold on. I see a 5 here and I see a 5 there. It's not a problem at all. Right? They're aiming for 5 nonetheless. 5 is the lowest we can possibly go, and 7 is the highest. What's the tolerance? Take these 2 away. Right? You go 7 minus 5. 2 degrees Celsius is the tolerance for this particular measurement with its tolerance. Okay? Can I ask you to try this one here real quick? If I gave you this, even if you didn't know any of this stuff right there, you should be able to fill in these 4 right now after the examples I've given you. Can you try that? Fill out your nominal. That's the first one I do, and then I go max, min, tolerance. Give that a try. It should take you a minute or less. Nominal is the first one. Milliliters, where did milliliters come from? It's millimeters, right? Next, get your max. What would you say if it says plus? That's how you get your max. 45 plus 0. That's 45. The minimum is 45 minus 1. That's 44. What do you think the tolerance is? I mean, come on, right? I hope you get that one. You subtract these to get the tolerance. 1 millimeter. That's all the only play you have there, okay? Go ahead. Last one. This one is the trickiest one of them all, okay? Is there just one single number in front of everything else? No. So you have to do a little bit of work to get your nominal here. So we're going to do that right here. 15 plus 12 divided by 2. Please do the 15 plus 12 first. What is that? That's 27 divided by 2. That's 13.5 centimeters. Okay, got that? What do you think the max is out of these two numbers? And you would all say 15, right? It's basically telling us 15 is the highest, 12 is the lowest, and tolerance, once you've got these two, just subtract them. That's 3 centimeters. And you filled out all 4 again, okay? So I will highlight this, I will do this bottom part here. I'll be like the nominal, we had to do some work here when it's like this. I know it's almost home time, I know that. I would like to try one more, next page. Because I gave you too many examples at the same time. I'm just going to give you one at a time. Right now, okay, if I gave you this, watch this here, I give you all 4 formats right here. Go ahead. What would this be, guys? Any brave volunteer? Yeah. That would be my nominal, right? That's the first number. You plug that in there. So that's absolutely my nominal. I hope you would know that part. Okay, next, my next order of operation is to get the max and the min figured out, because that's going to help me with the tolerance. Get rid of this half of whatever. Figure out what half of 4 is. It's 2, right? In this case, I kept it nice and simple, but it could be an uglier decimal. It could be anything. Just go half of that, get rid of this fraction, right? So to get the max, we go 45 plus 2. So that'd be 47. To get the min, we go 45 minus 2. That's 43. To get the tolerance, what is it? 47 minus 43. That is 4 millimeters. Okay? Don't do the rest right now. I just want you to do this part right here. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to try before you go home. Page 40. The same thing. And then tomorrow we'll continue from here. I think this is all I'm going to do for homework, guys. For homework. I want you to do this. Add these four on your study sheet. Okay? And maybe have one example that tells you what to do. One example. So I say it one more time. Have these 4 on your study sheet. And then have maybe one of these examples that shows you how did I do that. Okay? One note that I would give you is maybe you should tell yourselves, because imagine 4 months from now when you're preparing for this, which one should you always start with? The nominal. What's the nominal is our target. That's what we're aiming for. Then you figure out max, min, and your tolerance. Okay? Thank you guys. You did great.